Hey friends, Pastor Bill Walden here with Build Up the Church. This is a devotional for February 28th, 2024. In Mark chapter 8, verses 1 through 10, we see that Jesus once again fed a multitude with about 4,000 people in it. And he did so with just a few loaves of bread and a few fish. He prayed over the food. It was miraculously multiplied. The disciples distributed the food. The people were satisfied. It says after that, he left them and getting into the boat again, departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take bread, and they did not have more than one loaf with them in the boat. Then he charged them, saying, "Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod." After the feeding of the multitude, the religious leaders came to him once again, and they were challenging him. And the Bible speaks about leaven, that which is put into a lump of flour, which causes the flour to expand. It permeates the dough. And Jesus said, watch out for the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod. Watch out for their influence. It doesn't take much. It'll get into your mind, it'll get into your life, and it'll spread. So be careful. Don't let their influence you. But the disciples reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have no bread. So they didn't get it at all. Jesus had just done a miracle with bread. They had forgotten to take but one loaf of bread. Jesus used the physical to illustrate a spiritual truth, but they're still thinking physically. And so they said, oh, he must be disappointed with us because we didn't bring bread. But Jesus, being aware of it, he said to them, why do you reason because you have no bread? He said, like, guys, what are you talking about? Lack of bread is not a problem for us. It's not a problem for me. And then he said, do you not yet perceive nor understand? The implication is you should understand by now that the lack of bread is not a problem for me. But he said this, is your heart still hardened? Having eyes, do you not see? Having ears, do you not hear? And do you not remember? It hadn't been maybe an hour or two since they helped distribute bread to 4,000 people. And Jesus said, have you forgotten already? He said, when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments did you take up? And they said to him, 12. Also, when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many large baskets full of fragments did you take up? And they said 7. So he said to them, how is it that you don't understand? You have forgotten. How quickly you have forgotten. It made me think of the fact that sometimes we also, if we're following Jesus, we have a tendency to forget. We tend to forget. And it also made me think about how often the Bible tells us, don't forget what God has done. Don't forget the ways of God. Don't forget the promises of God. Some passages out of the Psalms for you. Psalm 103 verse 2 says this, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. So as a follower of Jesus, I'm called to not forget the benefits that Jesus Christ brings into my life, my salvation, the healing of my heart, my mind, my soul, his provision, his leading, his guidance, his equipping, his calling, all those benefits. I am called to remember them. In Psalm 119, we read this, Psalm 119, verse 16, I will delight myself in your statutes. I will not forget your word. That one speaks of the fact, I'm going to read your word, and I'm not going to forget your word. In fact, the thing that's going to delight me is the reading of your word, the reading of your statutes. Dear friend, if you're a follower of Jesus, read the Bible. Delight yourself in the Bible, and you won't forget what he has promised. When challenges like a hungry multitude come before you, you won't forget what he has promised. Psalm 119, verse 83, the psalmist says this, I have become like wineskin in smoke, yet I do not forget your statutes. It's a picture of a once flexible, pliable leather wineskin that has been hung up next to a fire, maybe left there for days or weeks, and now it's inflexible and it's full of soot and it's hard and it's almost lost its usefulness. It can't be stretched anymore. It just looks like something undesirable. And sometimes our lives can be that way. And at those times we can tend to forget. But the psalmist said, I've become like a wineskin in smoke, but I'm still not going to forget. I'm going to remember. Psalm 119, verse 109, my life is continually in my hand, yet I do not forget your law. The psalmist said, I feel like my life could be taken from me at any time, but I'm still going to deliberately remember your word. And many times when we run into problems, we tend to forget. We tend to forget because of the emotion or the fear of not knowing what to do, what's going to happen, what are the negative possibilities and connotations. But the psalmist said, even when my life is in my hands, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not going to forget your law. Psalm 119, verse 141, I am small and despised, yet I do not forget your precepts. There are times when we all feel small and despised. That's not the time to forget the ways of God. It's time to remember the ways of God. Psalm 119, verse 153, consider my affliction and deliver me, for I do not forget your law. God, I'm afflicted. I need your deliverance, but I'm not going to forget about you. And then finally in Psalm 119, verse 176, I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Boy, I know that feeling. How about you? I've gone astray. Lord, I've wandered off the path. I've wandered from you. God, seek your servant, for I do not forget your commandments. So many passages in the Bible talk about us not forgetting the ways of God. Jesus said, have you forgotten already? Don't you remember what I just did? They were just men. They were just humans like you and I. The fears of life, the challenges of a hungry multitude, the warning against theological leaven, they were going through lots of things. And even when they saw the miracle with their own eyes, they soon forgot. May we not be like that. We have a tendency to forget, but let's decide not to. Thanks so much.